it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to second video on a Wednesday. We've done the birthday for Mike and now we're doing a marathon, and today's marathon is again one of those bands I have no idea about. It's a viewer's request and it's for a band called Sevendust. Now Sevendust, American band from Atlanta, formed in 1994 by bassist Vince Hornsby and drummer Morgan Rose, with guitarist John Connolly. After their first demo, lead vocalist John Witherspoon and Clint Lowry joined the group, and following a few name changes they came up with Sevendust. They've done not too bad. I had a little bit of research, but I don't know much about the band, to be quite honest. So this was a real rabbit hole, but took a little while to get this one together. But some of the songs are all right. As you'll find out as we go through. Now they've released 14 studio albums, so we're going to crack on with this one. So coming in at number 14, we do have the fourth album from 2002, and it's called Seasons. And on here we've got John Witherspoon on lead vocals, Clint Lowry on lead guitar and co-lead vocals on Skeleton Song, John Connolly on rhythm, Vince Hornsby on the bass and Morgan Rose on the drums. The first track is called Disease. Oh dear, I don't like the screechy vocals. You know I really have a tough time with it. I just find it really puts me off, and I'm not very keen on that track. Then we have Enemy. Once again, it's very similar style to the previous track, Disease. Didn't do much for me. Now Seasons, I quite like this one. There's more structure to the song, and it is actually a good vocal. There's not as much screechy. And John Witherspoon is not a bad singer. Broken Down, not a fan of this one, but I do like the sort of bass, but the drums are a little bit tinny on that one as well. Separate, this is the sort of thing that it's got that sort of alter bridge sound to it, and it's not too bad. Then we have a track called Honestly, and I think this is probably the best track on the album. It's got a really good riff on it, and it's a little bit more melodic. Not a bad song. Skeleton Song, it's okay. It's a little bit more melodic as well. Not so much of the screechy. It's okay. Disgrace. Again, it is a better track. The lyric, you can actually hear what's being said. Burned Out. It's okay, but this is a riff that's been sort of regurgitated through the album so many times. Suffocate, it's alright, it's not the best thing I've ever heard. Gone, it's a little bit different there. It's got a bit of more of a melodic feel to it. It's okay. Face to Face, this is just full of lots of swearing. Sometimes it's a little bit pointless. Now I'm going to be brutally honest with this album. I found it pretty wooden. There's a couple of good songs on it, but there's nothing on here that really jumps up and says, yeah, this is great. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Coming in at number 13 then, we have the 8th studio album released in 2010, and it's called Cold Day Memory. John, Clint, John, Vinny and Morgan again. First track is called Splinter. It's okay. It's got a little bit more to it. I wouldn't jump up and down to that one though. Forever, not too bad. I like the riff on this. It's pretty decent. It's not a bad vocal either. Unraveling, one of the better tracks on this album. It's got a little bit more melodic to it. It's not just one riff all the way through. Last Breath, sounds like the track before. There's no much difference between that track. Karma, best track on the album. I think it's because it's got a little bit more variation. The drumming on this is excellent. Riding Same, very eerie, but a pretty solid track. Don't mind that one. Confessions Without Faith, it's okay. It's pretty standard American hardcore rock. Nowhere, some nice solo, a nice guitar solo on this, and I do like the guitar work on this. Is a little bit different. Here and Now, the drumming on this is really good. It's got some nice melodic guitar. The End Is Coming. It's just very generic. Same sort of sound as a lot of the tracks on the album. There's no variation on it. Better Place, pretty mediocre song again. It's just this hardcore sound that doesn't seem to have a lot of variation. Strong Arm Broken, I'm not very a fan of it. It's a bit drab. Yeah, it's one of those albums. It is a bit of a mixed bag. It's got some reasonable stuff on, but a lot of it is not very memorable, I'm afraid, for me. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Coming out at number 12 then, from 2013, their 9th album, Blackout the Sun. Same lineup, LeJohn, Clint, John, Vinnie and Morgan. First track is called Memory. I like this, it's quite melodic. The guitar work on this is quite intricate for them, and it works very well. Faithless, I did struggle with this one. It just doesn't do anything for me, this style of music. It really, I do struggle with it. Till Death. The vocals are a bit screechy in places, but it's okay. It's listenable metal. Mountain. I like this because there is a little bit of variation on it. It's the drumming that gives it that variation. It's a little bit different. Cold as War, the best track on the album. It's got a bit more structure and it's a pretty decent track. Quite like the one. Blackout the Sun is more the standard sort of powery ballad thing, which is unusual for this band, but yeah, it works. Nobody Wants It. The drum makes this. Again, the guitar are just the usual repetitive riff. Dead Roses, it starts off well with that unique, it's a unique guitar bit, but then it just goes into that repetitive sound, which makes it pretty memorable as you get to the end of it. Decay, slow, distinctive, a little bit different. Dark I Am, all I can say is it's amazing how many songs you can write on one riff. It doesn't sound no different from any other song I had heard up to this point of listening to Sevendust. Perfect Picture comes next. LeJohn is a good singer. I can't take that away from him, and when he does sing, really good. And then we have a bit of an acoustic track on it. And the solo on that is really good, and it's called Got a Feeling. Really good track. Murder Bar doesn't do nothing for me. Sorry. There's some good songs on, I bet there, but there's three that are really good. The same, it's all the way through, it's the same beat, the same riff, no variation. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 5.3. Okay, coming in at number 11, we have the most current album, and it was released last year. And it's called Truth Killer. No change in the lineup. So we've got I Might Let the Devil Win. Now this is quite good. It's even got a bit of drum machine in, which is really interesting, but it adds a little atmosphere, and I do love the whispery vocal. Truth Killer, it's quite lively, this one. It's not too bad, I don't mind that. Who Would Stop the Bleeding? It's just the same thing all the way through. Nothing variation. Everything though is a very good track. It's a very good vocal from LeJohn, and I do like that one. No revolution. It's okay. It's okay to listen to. Sick Mouth. We've got a drum machine on here that just doesn't fit. My favourite track on here is a track called Holy Water. Flows nicely. There's a little bit of variation in the riffs and the singing as well. Leave Hell Behind. Some nice drumming on that. I'll give them that. Superficial Drug. It starts off a little bit dangerous for them. A bit more melodic, and then they go back into their safe zone. It's a shame, because if they'd have carried on with that sort of thing, it would have probably been a better track. Messenger. Slowed down. They tried to make it sound different, and it worked. Love and Hate. It's okay. Fence. Just okay. They tried to mix it up on this album, I suppose, but there you go. I'll forgive this one an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, coming in at number 10, we've got the 6th album from 2007, Alpha. And it is the band's 2nd album featuring their guitarist Sonny Mayo on rhythm. So this one, apart from LeJohn, John and Vinny and Morgan, we have got Sonny Mayo on the rhythm guitar. Death Star, I really like this one. It's got a little bit of grunt to it. The bass is pretty good. The sound's great. It is a really good track. Clueless, they tried to mix it up again, but then it goes into the crash bang wallop one riff wonder, and the drums seem to be catching up with the guitars. Driven, the drumming's all over the place on that one, I'm afraid. They're playing catch up. Feed. At least the drum and the riffs are all coherent this time. There's some really good voice effects in the middle on it, which really adds. Suffer, unfortunately, it's the same riff all the way through. The same one riff that they only seem to know. Beg to Differ. You got this real fast riff at the beginning, and the drumming's pretty good, and it does actually sound a little bit different. Under, favourite song on here. There's some street sounds and effects, and the vocal's pretty strong, and it is a good track. Story of Your Life. The muffled guitar, you get that sort of muffled guitar, and then the real riff comes in. And it's got a really good guitar solo on that, to be quite honest. Confessions of Hatred. The bass line at the beginning is brilliant, and I do love the effects and all the guitars on that one. Aggression. There's some piano on this, believe it or not, and it actually adds a little bit of variation. Burn. It's a long song. It just doesn't fit. And Alpha, the last track, is pretty cool. It's got some nice tones on it. As I said, there's some good tracks, some bad tracks on all of these albums, but this has got some pretty decent ones on it, the ones that are good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.6. Okay, coming in at number 9 is the 12th album from 2018, All I See Is War. Clint Lowry's back on the guitars on this one, so it's the classic lineup. So we've got Dirty. If you took away the grunts, the song would be fabulous. The grunts just don't add any value to that song. God Bites His Tongue. I like how the change and the tempo in this, it really is good. It's one of the best tracks on the album. It's got the drumming tempo is just perfect on this. Medicated. I love the bass on this. It's got some nice backing vocals. Pretty solid track. Unforgiven. We've gone back to the one riff song again. It doesn't do nothing for me. Sickness. There's a little bit of keyboard that runs through this, and it actually works. It gives it a bit of depth. You can distinct thing. It's very delicate as well, and it does work. Cheers is it's the same riff, but it has got a little variation. It's not too bad. Risen, the drum at the start and the double bass drum, it sounds brilliant. It's not a bad track. Moments, piano again, and it really adds to it. Really decent track. Not original. Some other keyboard on this, and it works well with the bass line in this track. It's pretty decent. Descend. I like the backing vocals on this. It really adds to the track. The power riffs as well. Life Deceives You. It's got that horrible one gritty riff on it. That just doesn't do anything. The Truth. That horrible riffs in there somewhere. And that was the last track. I think this is a little bit more variation on this album, and there's more tracks on this album I like. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Coming in at number 8, we have the 11th album from 2015, and it's called Kill the Flaw. The John Clint, John, Vinny and Morgan. First track is called Thank You. Starts off very melodic, and then it just develops into the usual crash, bang, wallop. Death Dance. It's that piano at the beginning that sets the tone of this track, and it really fits in with the tone of the track. There's some nice guitar work on that, my favourite track off this album. Forget. Back to the basics, Sevendust riff, but it has got a killer solo on that one. Letters. I like the guitar work on this. It is a little bit different, it's a bit more involved, and it works. Cease and Desist, pleasant enough to listen to. It doesn't do my head in. Not Today. A very interesting track. It's got some atmosphere, eerie sort of riffs on it, and it works. And I love the vocal on that one. Then we have a track called Chop, another great track. It's got some acoustic guitar on, which is very strange, but it works. Kill the Flaw, it's got the basic riff from the band, but they've added a little bit more texture and depth to it, and the bass sounds a little bit better on that. Silly Beast. I like the John's vocal on it. Very strong. Good track. Peace and Destruction. The grunt doesn't add any value to it. Torched. The drums are good. And that's about it, really. Once again, I have really struggled with this ranking. There are a few tracks on here that's good, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.3. Coming in at number 7, we have the 5th album from 2005, and it features Sonny Mayo on guitars this time instead of Clint. So it's called Next. Hero. The growl vocals are not very good, but the rest of the singing is. Ugly. I like this. It's got a nice bass line. It's quite melodic for them. It really works. I don't mind that track. Pieces, I just don't like the song at all. It's just same boring riff. Silence. A great song. It's got a bit more structure. It's got a melody to it which works, and it's got some great drumming on it, and it is my favourite track on the album. This Life is a curveball. It's very melodic, almost commercial sounding. It really works. Failure. It's okay. See and Believe. It's okay. I don't mind that one. I can go get through that one all right. The last song, probably one of the worst songs on the album. Too much shouting going on. Desertion. I do like the guitar solo and the drumming. Never. It's a listenable track. Shadows in the Red. Another of my favourites. It's got a really great bass line. But definitely a mixed bag, this album. There's some really good songs on here. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Coming in at number 6, we have Chapter 7, Hope and Sorrow, 7th album from 2008. And it was the last to feature Sonny Mayo before Clint came back. So, John, Vinny, Morgan, and on lead guitar, a guest, Mark Tremonti, just the lead guitar on track 3. Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge does the additional vocals on 9, and Chris Doughty does additional vocals on track 6. Inside. Great guitars on this, but there is some unnecessary swearing on this one. Don't mind swearing, but unnecessary doesn't work for me. Enough, I like this. It's got a bit of a groove to it. Hope, great song. It features Mark Tremonti on guitar, and it's a great guitar solo he does. It's a more melodic track, super little track. Scapegoat, the grunty shouted, actually works on this, and it's got another killer guitar solo. Fear, they've got a bit of a twinny sort of guitar on this, and it did work. The Past, which features Chris Doherty. I like this song. I mean, he comes from a reality program, doesn't he? But he's not a bad singer, actually. It does work. Prodigal Son, quite like this. Pretty solid. Lifeless, one of the tracks I don't like, but I do like the solo. Sorrow, you got Miles Kennedy on the backing vocals, and you pick him up straight away. He's got the more deeper vocal on this, and they really sing well together. I like that. Contradiction, very solid track, nothing wrong with that one. And Walkaway has got a great guitar solo on it. I quite like this album, believe it or not. It's one of the better albums, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, coming in at number 5, we have the second album from 1999, and it's called Home. We've got John Clint, John, Vinnie, Morgan. Additional vocals on here, we've got Skin from Skunk Anise, Pony Wong, and Troy McLaughlin. So the first track is called Home. It's okay until I start shouting on it, which is a shame because it's a nice tune. Denial, good track. No shouting on this, it's just a real solid rock song. Head Trip, I love this. It's got this off-key guitar at the beginning. I love that, and when the rest of the guitars come in, it works really, and then they start shouting. Shame. Everything was going right for that track. Insecure, short little track. It's just got a nice little bit guitar and it works. Reconnect, gritty, quite heavy, and a good track. Waffle, I do like this. I like it when they experiment and go out of their comfort zone. It's got some different tones on it, and it really works. Then we have a thing called Rumblefish. It's okay. My favourite track is Licking Cream, which it features Skin. It's a wonderful performance by her. She really adds something to this track. She's a great vocalist, and I do love that track. Grasp, I think there's some really good little bits in this. There's some nice little intricate guitar bits that work on that. Crumbled, it's got that typical heavy metal riff on it, but I do like it. It's got a little bit of grunt, and it's quite melodic for them. Feel So, one of the difference, there's some interesting riffs, a nice solo. It's got a metallic sound to it as well, and it works. And then we've got Grasshopper, which is 8 seconds of nothing. Bender, Troy's guitar is awesome on that. Quite a good track. Another mixed bag album, and I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Coming in at number 4, then we have their debut album from 1997, and it's just called Sevendust. The John, Clint, John, Vinnie, and Morgan. First track, Black, really good track. It's raw, it's heavy, it's just brilliant. Then we have Bitch, my favourite track on here. I do love it when you get that real dirty riff, and then there's a bit of an acoustic sort of guitar on it. It really works. Excellent track. Terminator, love the drumming on this, but even through the grunty vocal, it's not as intimidating as it got it works on that. Too Close to Hate, it's a bit soft. It's got more of a softy shout on it, Audius, than Grunty Vogue. It's not so harsh, and I really like it. Wired, really good guitar solo on this. The effects are pretty good. It's an all-round good track. Prayer, good track again. I love the riffs on this one. A pretty damn good bass line as well. Face, it's very simple rock. There's no special effects on it. It's just plug in, have a go, and it really works. Speak is another great track. Some of the riffs on this are incredible. Very melodic. Will It Breed? The drum on this is wonderful. There's a little bit of grunt in the vocal, but it works. It didn't spoil the track. My Ruin, another of those raw tracks. The vocal is not so harsh. It's just very strong. The last track, Born to Die. This is where the grunty sort of came in, and it just didn't do much for me. But I did really enjoy this album. It's got some absolutely killer tracks on it. I think I love the rawness of it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, coming in at number 3, we have the third studio album from 2001, and it's called Animosity. LaJohn, Clint, John, Vinny and Morgan. First track on here is called TOBA. This is different. It's got some different sort of singing on it. The drumming is fantastic. Excellent opening track. Praise, I like this one as well. Different vocal delivery from LaJohn. Clear, good riffs, excellent. Trust, some great riffs, great vocal again from LaJohn. Absolutely brilliant. Then my favourite track on here is called Crucified. It's just a solid track with a great bass line that really drives the song around. It's just rock and roll. Xmas Day, second favourite track on here. Melodic, great vocals, some lovely backing vocals on that one as well. Dead Set, another melodic track with a great drum all the way through. Shine, excellent. Riffs are good. Just love how they put that one together. Then we have a track called Follow, which featured Aaron Lewis. Aaron Lewis, of course, is from Stained. Solid track, really good. Damaged, great guitar on here, a great vocal from LaJohn. I love it. Live Again, another solid track. Some of these tracks are really good. They've got a backing vocal that sort of just runs behind the main vocal, and it works well. Beautiful, solid, interesting tones on the guitar on that. Redefine does what it says on the tin. It's just a good, solid rock song. Angel Sun, love the drumming on this. Very melodic track to end the album. For me, I think this is probably their best album until 2020. There's a couple of tracks on here that are a bit weak, but out of the 13, I'd say 11 are pretty good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, coming in at number 2 is the 13th album, and it was released in 2020, called Blood and Stone. LaJohn, Clint, John, Vinny and Morgan, Dying to Live. Pretty good track. I love the bass line in this. There's a little bit of that screechy vocal at the end, sorry, and it really just doesn't spoil the track. Love. I think this is one of the most melodic tracks this band have ever done. It is such a good vocal from LaJohn. The guitar is pretty awesome on that as well. Blood from a Stone. What a track this is. It starts off nice and quiet, and then bang, it comes and hits you like a thundercloud. A really good track. Feel Like Going On. Very commercial for them. There's a little bit of keyboard in there. The high-pitched guitar really adds to it as well. What You Have Become. Excellent track. I was surprised how different they sounded on that track. Kill Me. I like how the guitar just keeps getting better and better on this track. It's a really good track. Nothing left to see here anymore. There's a little bit of a string sound on this, which I don't know where it comes from, but it really works. Desperation, probably one of John's best vocals on the album, probably one of the best he's ever done. Really strong. Criminal, my favourite track on here. Melodic, the guitar work is good, and we got some keyboards in that again that just adds that little bit of extra depth. Against the World, catchy tune for them, and a nice vocal range from the lead vocal to the backing vocals alone. The start of this is quite gentle, different, and they just build on that through this track. Excellent. Wish You Well, I think the keyboard on this just gives it a really nice touch, and it's a great vocal. Then they do at the end of the album with a Soundgarden cover called The Day I Tried to Live. It's not a bad version. I'm not a huge fan of Soundgarden either, but I think this is a pretty good version. Now, I really like this album. I think adding a keyboard gave it a little bit more depth and structure. And as I said, I think it's their best album since 2001. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Now, this is a shock, I think, because my number one album isn't even a heavy rock album. It's their 10th album from 2014, and it's called Time Travelers and Bonfires. It includes several pre-release songs re-recorded as acoustic versions, as well as 6 new acoustic tracks. So it's the John, Clint, John, Vinny. Come Down. I love this. It just proves that they can play nice songs, and LeJohn is a great singer. It's just very nice. Love that track. Under It All, my favourite track on here. It's just a different band, and I just love the gentleness of it. And then the acoustic guitar work from John and Clint on this is fabulous. The Weight, great vocal from LeJohn. It just, the bass on it though is really good as well. Upbeat Sugar, lovely song, solid. One Life. The piano at the beginning of this leads you into this wonderful, intricate sort of acoustic guitar track. Bonfire, probably the best vocal on here by LeJohn. Absolutely terrific. And now we go into tracks that are on other albums. So from Seasons, I think this is so much better than the electric version. It's a great song. Again, Denial from Home, far superior version than the other version on Home. I just love it as an acoustic number. Trust from Animosity. It's not a bad track on the original, but this has got so much atmosphere. It really works. Crucified from Animosity as well. Favourite track off the Animosity album, and this is just a very good acoustic version. I think this is just a little bit better than the original, but my favourite track is is Karma from the Cold Day Memory. One of the best tracks on that album, but as an acoustic, it just works better. Blooming phone. Must remember to take it out. I'm not going to stop because we're at the end. And then we've got Black from the debut album, another stunning version of this song. I think it's better than the original. Well, I never thought that I would pick my number one album as an acoustic album and covers, but I really like this album, and I think it's probably the only one that I will really listen to again, because I think it just proves that they are pretty decent musicians. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go. I can't remember who asked me. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be someone like Zeb that asked me to do this. I really did struggle with this band. I really don't like this sort of type of metal, this hardcore. But I did like their acoustic album. Okay, that's all for today. We've busy old day getting two in on a Wednesday, but we've got tomorrow. We've got Battle Royale, and we've got Midnight Train to Georgia against My Generation, and also tomorrow in Pick and Mix, the return of album cover artwork, but it's got a new name. It's called Be Painting by Numbers, and I'll be looking at the album artwork of Deerhoof. And of course tomorrow is live stream as well, so join us for that. Bye for now.